Hi, this is Mr. Chow from EnglishTuition.org. I just want to make a quick video to report on the test scores for the mini test 2 for the year 2018. Now, for this particular test, only 3 sets of papers are tested. One set is for the primary 3 and 4, another set for primary 5 to 6, which is in preparation for their PSLE, and the last set is for the lower secondary. And I have a couple of Sec 3 NA students, but I also gave them the same test because these tests are essentially testing them on the language and a little bit on the syllabus, and the questions that are based on the syllabus are the same, and still applicable for NA as well as Express. That's why they are taking the same sets of tests. And let's very quickly let me just report the scores. There are a couple of primary 4 students taking the P4 mini test, and for this mini test itself is considered rather challenging, so don't be discouraged. That's for the students. If the scores are not up to expectations, because I do not the test, you can take a look at the paper itself. It has many MCQ questions, but at the back of it there are actually more open-ended language questions which require the P4 students to actually form sentences using adjectives as well as connectors together in the same sentence and forming compound sentences. And I think I want to do this for them because I want to prepare them for the primary 5 syllabus, which is coming up next year. So primary 5, they are expected to do a lot more writing, and they need to be comfortable with this sort of writing. So if they're not familiar with the questions format and stuff, so that's understandable. But just take it as a practice, and I think they can learn a lot from this mini test. So one student scored like 21 upon 40, which is just a borderline pass, and another student, primary 4 as well, scored 28 over 40, which is 70%. So like one would imagine, if you are to take a P4 school exam, you would score at least 80% and above. So for this particular mini test, because of the level of difficulty, so we are seeing lower test scores, but nothing to worry about, right? Because they are being tested with a different format of questions. And as for the primary 6 questions, the good news is only one student failed the test, but that student he started from with very weak language, so we expected him not to do so well because we may find the questions to be challenging, and he scored 12 upon 45, which works out to 26.7%. And the other students, one scored 27 upon 45, which is 60%. So this student has got certain components which is particularly weak at, and is considered a decent improvement. So at least she's not getting a borderline pass for this test. And another student gets 30 upon 45, which is 66%. So I'm now looking at the score. So it seems like 66% is the highest scores among my students, right? So 30 upon 45. And I think this particular student can do a lot better because he scored very well in the front part, the MCQ questions, but when it comes to the sentence synthesis, he was way too careless and he scored 0 marks for that section. Alright, otherwise he could have easily scored like 70 or even 80%, and I think he has a very good chance of doing well in the upcoming PSLE. Now let's move on to the lower secondary mini test feedback. Lower secondary, the highest scores that I have here with me is from a Sec 1 student. Now bear in mind that the same test is being given to students who are in Sec 1, Sec 2 lower secondary, as well as a couple of Sec 3 NA students, right? They all take the same test. They all took the same test. And the highest score is 41 upon 50, which is 82%. Alright? And the good news is nobody actually failed this test. Even the lowest scores is 27 upon 50, which is 54%. And then we have one student who gets 29 upon 50, which is 58%. And then my Sec 2 students, both of them scored pretty much around the same scores, 33 upon 50 and 35 upon 50, which works out to be 76% and 70%, which are relatively decent scores. And this mini test itself, I have included some interesting questions. So instead of just testing them on the language, the grammar, and the vocabulary, I've also included some questions to test them on their familiarity with the syllabus itself, as well as question answering techniques. Okay, this is to make sure that that they pay attention in class, and that they will be tested, okay, in this type of mini test. And I think the mini test overall has done a pretty good job at keeping students on their toes. And very soon we will be starting our revision for the year-end examination, especially those who are taking their PSLE. So by August, we should have completed our mock assessment for the end of year for PSLE, and by September, for the rest of the students, they should have completed their mock assessment by then. Okay, and of course PSLE will start their revision sooner because the exam starts earlier. Okay, but for the rest of the students, after this mini test, I will be starting the revision very soon as well. Likely now it's already July, right? So likely in early September, right, in preparation for their prelims as well. Yeah, that's all I have in this video. And I noticed that I didn't mention any names because this video goes out to many parents at the same time. So if you want to identify the student who is had all these scores that I've just mentioned, just take a look at their mini test papers. I've returned all the papers to them, so do take a look. Yeah, that's all I have in this video. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.